People commonly think about the architects are designing buildings and designing some big spaces, which is true, but which is very limited scope of work.
As architects, we didn't want to simply design buildings and large spaces and structures, but start thinking at different scales, starting from something as small as a spoon, a fork, or a knife.
How does it affect the space around it by introducing a very small object? That's where we started. People recognize it as they knew it before. So they always say, like, why did this kind of design didn't come much earlier?
Hoverware started with two things in mind. One was the realization that people were using a lot more napkins than they actually needed. One to wipe their mouth and one purely for the purpose of separating the cutlery and the table. So we thought, why don't we try to make a set of cutlery where the utensils are separated from the table, thus the incorporation of this little knob, the stand.
The very focus point was try not to touch the surface.
We came up with the idea that using the shape of the bamboo section, we would use that portion that is usually wasted to create the stand.
We want to come up with some natural materials. And we look at the bamboos. When you look at the sections, actually it naturally embedded the ideas of how it works for Hoverware.
It was hard to find bamboo that was large enough to make this, so we used the Japanese type of wood called sao, and it's very light but rigid, so it's often used by Japanese companies and craftsmen to create wooden cutlery.
And also this is all handmade, so it's not like a machine that cuts around and then make it perfect and then the exact same color, exact same shape everywhere. We don't have mold. This is just as natural as it gets.
In fact, the shapes are all different. They're all slightly different and unique, which I think gives a little character to each piece.
The color of Hoverware, like when you open the box, actually you probably wouldn't expect anything the same.
Due to the nature of the sao wood, all the colors are different as well. So sometimes you get very light colored pieces, sometimes you get slightly darker ones.
The color and the texture of this are very different. One is very light, and this is probably as light as it gets, and the other one is really dark, and this is as dark as it gets. It shows the range of the color, and this knife actually has the both color in one piece.
So I think that in itself gives kind of a unique character to each set, and you never know what you're going to get until you purchase it and open it. So there's an element of surprise in there as well, I think. Most customers appreciate Hoverware because it's a very convenient product to use outdoors, whether on picnics or if you're eating at a very public table such as this. People are often concerned about how clean the table is.
It naturally just stands away from the table surface. So for the jams, butters, or yogurt, or any kind of sauce or anything, after you eating or during your eating, you just put it on the surface, and then tables on anywhere. It probably prevents your nice tables as it is.
People who use it at home with children are also a common customer for us.
These days, people are concerning about the environmental. At the same time, how those plastics or those man-made material can affect their kids. So they tend to find either metals or some kind of wood.
The design itself was somewhat inspired by children's silverware, which is somewhat smaller in size. So it's very good for cutting soft objects such as fruit, cheeses, and spreads. So being able to separate the cutlery from the table is a very big advantage and the basic premise of the design. So those types of people were very fond of the design of the Hoverware. And also a lot of dessert places. We just got a recent order for many sets from a dessert place that sold shaved ice. So the spoon was, they thought, perfect for that purpose. and also because this customers would be using a table that's not at their home, the fact that it's clean and separate from the table was a very big advantage for them.
In the 19th century, when Ernesto Rogers declares that the architect's supposed design from a spoon to a city, he probably has a little different ideas. Like he wants to design everything because it's all relevant, it's all connected. So we're designing a certain small object or large scale of object which is all connected each other. So that's how we approach to design hoverware, such a small tableware.